Take that literally. Kenneth is our stalker. He's peeking in our windows. He's busy. That's why we don't take the Bible literally. However, take it in truth that I am is there. And it's always peeking at us, not from outside, but from within. The I am is always peeking. And it's not criticizing us. It's not mad at us, and it's not punishing us. It's observing. To give ourselves the opportunity to observe what's going on. Because we can shift anything, any situation, any molecule. We can shift them all with new thoughts. Our thoughts shift our body around. And so that's what we're not to blame for our conditions. You know, oh, what were you thinking? It's my favorite thing. I thought, what were you thinking to bring that about? No, it doesn't matter what I was thinking. What would I need to think to shift it? That's the important part now. What would I need to think? And the only place I know where to go for that is within. You know, they say where you place the solution, place the problem, God has placed the solution. Well, the problem came from within, and now the solution is from within, to regenerate and to shift into different ideas, different conditions. And I do believe it's possible to do it with any condition. It can't be limited to just certain ones. Well, I know they had a healing, but I can't. That can't be true. Unity, I don't know how many of you know the history of Unity. I'm not going to give the whole thing, but the co-founder of Unity, the reason we have Unity today is because of a woman named Myrtle Fillmore, who was diagnosed with terminal tuberculosis, and she was given like 3 months to live, and she did not care for that diagnosis. And she didn't want to believe her doctors. She knew there must be another possibility. And so she went around, she met with different ministers. She didn't hear anything till one night she was at a lecture by a man named E.B. Weeks, a New Thought. This is 1886, mind you. And she heard him say, I am a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. And she realized she did not have to hold on to sick thoughts in her cells just because others have made the transition, just because others have inherited things. I don't have to. And she began to, what she did was she apologized to her body for calling it sick. And then she began to praise her body. She began to praise her life, you know, as quickly as she could remember to do it all the time. And it became a daily practice. And she changed, well, she lived another 45 years. She changed radically. And her friends changed radically, and we're changing radically because of that thought back in Kansas City in 1886. So I'll read you something that she wrote in the book, How to Let God Help You, which we do have available over there in the bookstore. It's How to Let God Help You is the first Unity book I ever read. It's the first class I ever took, and it was wonderful. The book is still on. I'm still using it all these years later. I swear by what she has to say there. But what she says is God's perfect idea in me is now building a perfect body. God's perfect idea in me is now building a perfect body. She goes on to say, God's perfect idea in me is now building a perfect body, and I am satisfied. As the little germ in the seed brings forth its kind, so in each human being is put the divine image and likeness, the potentiality of bringing forth perfection in mind, body, and affairs. She says Jesus Christ, remember, Jesus Christ is the awakened man. Metaphysically, Jesus Christ represents the awakened man. Jesus Christ is our example of perfection. He was the first to teach of the new birth, the new growth of humankind. I don't know if he was the first or not, but he was the first in Myrtle Fillmore's eyes. And he got published early on. And he, you know, 70 years later, they started writing about him. And he but the Jesus Christ teachings, the awakened man teachings of regeneration, of possibility, of giving up what I think I know for what is. So I found this in this book, The Holy Spirit's Interpretation of the New Testament, and it is in the book of Acts. chapter 18. And Holy Spirit is saying to you and to me, this is why I ask you to put your faith in me. You have forgotten that you are you and that you are me also. But I remember all that we are. I cannot forget. Give me your mind. Give me your trust. And I will lead you to the remembrance of you. And you are the remembrance of God. Listen to me and hear me well, for all that I say to you now is of the utmost importance. Everything that you think is true is not true to me. And I know all that is true. Therefore, I'm going to ask you to let go of that which you think is true and put your trust fully with me. What we're talking about, put your trust fully with the invisible presence. This request that I make is a simple one, although it may seem difficult to you. I am asking you that you trust me when I say you do not know who you are, and so you do not know what you do. To know the joy of who you are, you must know that it is what it is that you do. In following me instead of your own thinking, you will learn who you are and what you do. And then you will know the joy in doing it. Abandon your own thinking, your reason and rules. Trust me, I will lead you to see. The way of God is clear, because it is the one way without division. This is the way that leads the one as if he is many, so that he may remember he is only one. Do not worry about the steps you are asked to take or the way they may seem to others. To worry about such things is to believe in division. Trust in your Holy Spirit and in his one plan. Know that all things truly work together for God. Let them unfold as God would have them unfold. Know your place by knowing your Holy Spirit. You will be led according to your willingness to the place you are to be. You hear that? You will be led according to your willingness to the place you are to be. In following your willingness to go there, you shall find the reward of yourself. On page 153 of this book, it says that there are only two experiences, which may seem like many, but only two. And the two are willingness and resistance. Those are our only two experiences that come under many categories in our life. Willingness and resistance. There is the willingness to know God in all, and there is the resistance to know God in anything. It's really what it comes down to. I've been on this path for 21 years, been consciously on this path for 21 years. And it is still a daily, a momentary choice to make, whether I desire God more than I desire what I think I know about anything, about everything, about my body, about every aspect of my body, about you and every aspect of you, about this floor, about this ceiling, about my car, my money, my play, my work, the road I drive on, the air I fly in when I'm on a plane. Oh, look at this. I'm going to do something amazing today. Fran Gotcher here. She brought, well, there was three of us she brought it for. I'm one of the ones. She was in, she was over in Israel last year, and she brought back for me a mixture of the Sea of Galilee and the River Jordan. Isn't that neat? That neat, very special. So I had this idea that I would cross the River Jordan today. You see, I did not have to go to Israel to do that.
Oh, that was magical.
What?
I said that was magical.
I know. You see, we do not have to limit ourselves by, oh, I can't do that. As far as I'm concerned, this is the entire River Jordan. And the Sea of Galilee. Next week, I'll part it. Yeah. Yeah, if I poured a little out. I walked on tea earlier. And so you see, everything is a willingness or a resistance. I was at breakfast this morning and I looked at the very first part of Matthew, just chapter 1, which is very short. Joseph had a question in his mind, and he was unsure about what he should do. Although he had a thought as to what he should do, he did not consider it decided. Because when he got that news that his wife was pregnant, he wasn't sure how that had to come about. So he had a thought of what he should do. Leave her. Should leave her. Okay, but he had a thought. The decision was not made. It was not convinced of that. He left his mind open because he was unsure. And in his choice to remain open, he asked for wisdom. Remember, I'm not asking God up in the sky for wisdom. I'm asking myself to be willing to be wise to all the wisdom that is. Okay. And the wisdom was given him. Why was it given him? Because he was willing to hear. Willingness, resistance. Willing, resistance. Had he been resisting wisdom, he could not have received it. He could not have received it from himself. So, this is a symbol for you to follow in all things. Ideas may come, but if you do not know they are of me, Holy Spirit is the voice for God. It's how we can understand the highest voice. Consider them not decided. So if you don't know where they're coming from, consider them as yet undecided. We don't have to make the decision yet. Be open to new guidance, but here's where it gets tricky. Be open to new guidance. But do not worry if different guidance does not come. If you do not feel clearly that you are to do something different than that which you thought to do that which you thought to do. Amen. And trust that it is from me. What it means is don't sit in a vacuum. When all else fails, pray. Don't beg. Begging is not prayer. Give thanks now that it is possible for you to know. Because God is a perfect idea in you. God is a perfect idea in me. God is a perfect idea in my cells. I don't have to understand what that means today. Some of you may, some of you may not. Because this is a little bit heady and this is a little bit wordy and I don't always know what it means, but I do know sometimes just repeating the words makes a difference. God is a perfect idea in me today. And so I shall think with God ideas. God ideas aren't always nice. And I don't always know what's going to take place with my God idea. I don't know the result. And that's often why we come back to the second experience, resistance. Because I don't know the result in advance, I'm afraid to take the risk of the God idea. And therefore I resist my treasure. I resist the full experience of my kingdom. I mean, what if I ask and somebody says no? Does that mean I can't have my good? Or does it mean they weren't the one to give it to me? And I've now narrowed down the field. But if I decide in advance, they might say no, so I better not ask. Then I have surely gotten a no. And I have lost out on my chance of yes. So go ahead. Ask for your good all over the place. If you have a divine idea. Ask for your good all over the place. Give everybody a chance to say yes. Give everybody a chance to say no. And see what happens. God is a perfect idea in me today. Would you say that with me? God is a perfect idea in me today. Let's say it again. God is a perfect idea in me today. One more time. God is a perfect idea in me today. We'll change everything, I promise.